And we are live. Welcome to a Clipper Call first recap edition of the season. Clippers defeated the Golden State Warriors 130 to 95, and I'm just ready for the regular season to start. What about you?
Yeah, it's a little boring. They're just it's good that they won a game finally.
Yeah, well, they
We're
won one
actually
before.
the Clippers are 2-0 in the United States now. So apparently, just stay in the
Well,
United
lucky
States
that's
and we'll
what the
be
games
fine.
are.
What happened?
Lucky that's where all the games are.
Yeah, well, except for one, so that's good. Because the one game in Toronto that we have to play, but
Yeah,
whatever.
close enough. Same continent.
Yeah,
Um,
in terms of takeaways from this game, though, Chris and Blake are still good. DJ's still good. Redick's still good. The big takeaway is the bench didn't suck.
yeah, like the starting lineup's going to be good. I think I'm happy with Wes playing in the starting lineup. We can talk about that more later, but yeah, the starting lineup's
Yeah,
good no matter who's with it. Even if Stevenson's playing as bad as he can, they're still going to be okay because the other four is so good.
yeah, that's the thing. Like I wrote about that the other day. It was like it doesn't matter who is the fifth guy. Like those four are going to be able to produce probably the best offense in basketball, or second best behind Golden State.
Yeah, but
So
it was interesting seeing like DJ's supposed to have improved more on offense this year, but it basically looks the same as last year. Like maybe he's getting more touches, but a lot of it's Chris Paul telling him where to go still. And like he's not really thinking for himself on the floor still, on offense at least.
yeah, the one thing with DeAndre is he can impact the offense by himself if he just rim runs more. And they tried to get him involved.
Yeah,
They tried to rim run him and throw lobs. And one time Blake threw, or was it Blake or Josh? I think one of them threw like a bounce pass, which I don't know why anyone ever has learned that you can't throw DJ bounce passes still, but they do anyways. And like he fumbled it or something. And it was like, you know what? Like they're trying to get him involved. I just think it's hard to do it conventionally. So you have to it's almost like freelance stuff.
yeah,
Like I wrote the article about DJ like 3 weeks ago, maybe even a month ago. It was like, he's like the first or second best screener in the game. So it's like anytime he sets a screen, he can just roll to the hoop, and he also opens up everything else. Like he and Redick have like that BFF thing, So just
but they
as
had a
long as
nice
DJ,
back screen today.
what happened?
There was a nice back screen today where Redick flared to the corner and DJ just stepped up and set the screen on his man who wasn't looking.
Oh yeah, and Redick ran down like he thought he hit the three, but he hit the iron.
Yeah,
I don't even care that he missed because those are quality shots. Like I don't care that he
yeah,
missed though. So it looked like they were running more stuff tonight though.
yeah. Their sets still look really good, especially when the starters are running them. They took the ball out of Chris Paul's hands a few times at the start of the game.
Which I actually thought they would do because you don't put Lance in the game with the starters if you don't do that.
Yeah, but they did it with Blake more than Lance probably.
Yeah, they did, and it was interesting because it also it got everyone else moving more, which I think helped.
Yeah, because they were forced to run an actual offense that created itself.
Yeah, like you can't just trap Chris Paul and pick and rolls there because he's moving. And I think
Yeah,
it's because they also realize like Steph's out, so now you basically have Clay and Barnes as your perimeter defenders with Draymond every now and then on switches and stuff. So it's like, okay, so now you're making Sean Livingston run around more, and now you're basically freeing guys off of screens because Clay and Barnes are going to be running into people. Like if Bogut was there tonight, I think Bogut was the big missing link for the Warriors defense. Like if Bogut's there tonight, I don't think the Clippers get as easy of looks because there's someone back there who's
yeah.
reputable.
He's
P.S. I
not
really
bad.
do. He's not bad, but I really do hope they extend him.
What, and then
Because
not start Bogut anymore?
yeah, because he's not good. I don't get this idea where he's good. His hands are bathed in lotion. Like he just drops the ball every time.
He's pretty athletic though.
He's athletic. But he showed that back at Vanderbilt. That's why he got drafted, because he was an athletic guy with some offense and some defense. But he
Yeah,
fouls way too much. he's not really there intelligence-wise. So I get why he's like alluring to Golden State, but he's never going to be a guy who you can fully trust as a starting center.
Yeah.
Like if he had Draymond's basketball brain, he'd be great. But he doesn't have that.
There was weirdly a lot of technical fouls for a preseason game.
Yeah, there was 8, I believe. Was there 8? I think there was 8.
Chris Paul legitimately got tossed out for saying, "Don't treat me like a child."
Yeah, I have 2 kids. Don't treat me like a kid. There was 8 technical fouls. Griffin had 1. Stevenson and Draymond each had a double technical against each other. Paul got 2 at the same time. Josh Smith got 1. Jason Thompson got 1, and Luke Walton got 1.
At least the new additions are fitting in well with the team.
Yeah, from everyone that was at the game, because I know some people that were there, they were basically saying that Lance and Draymond were like just talking to each other the entire time.
Yeah.
So maybe that's like the secret weapon is just start Lance against Golden State just to really annoy Draymond.
Maybe he can blow in his ear.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you know what? Starting Lance against Golden State isn't even a bad option because at least then you can switch him on to Curry to give Paul a break.
Yeah, and you can play Paul on Barnes and let him post up Harrison Barnes, but I'll take those odds.
Yeah, because they actually got away. I like what the Clippers did. They got away with putting Redick on Barnes because they know Barnes doesn't do anything other than stand in the corner. That's their small forward job, like our offense.
Yeah, and it's saving Redick rather than Redick has to guard Clay in the post and beats him up a fair bit.
Yeah, like if you just put Redick on because I guess that's part of the Gentry system, which was like small forward just stands in the corner and just waits and makes cuts, and so that's all Harrison had to do.
It's also his
so it's
skill
easier
level
for
too.
Redick. What happened?
It's also his skill level too. You're not going to to create when you got Clay and Steph on the floor.
Yeah, you don't want Harrison Barnes dribbling just like you don't want Wesley Johnson dribbling. There's just certain things you don't want guys to do.
Josh Smith shooting long twos.
Yeah, oh, God. Yeah, that's got to stop. Lance did it too, and that's the one thing that's not good is the Clippers are very they take one of the highest volumes of long twos in the league.
Last season they did too, and it's because Chris Paul and Blake Griffin shoot a ton of them.
And Jamal Crawford.
Yeah, and they added Pierce, Smith, and Lance, who all shoot them a fair bit.
Yeah, we're basically going backwards in philosophy.
Yeah. But
yeah,
Griffin in the playoffs doesn't do it as much, but in the regular season, didn't Griffin shoot the most mid-range shots in the league last year?
I think he did. He was one of the top. I think it was either him or Aldridge.
And he's fairly efficient from there, but it's still an inefficient shot.
Yeah, he shot 40% last year, which is fine. It's just to make it a worthwhile shot, you gotta shoot at least 45.
Yeah, which is what Chris Paul was shooting 50%.
Yeah, Chris Paul was shooting a percentage so ridiculous that it didn't matter where he shot from because it's it's an efficient shot at that point.
So they're really lucky they got Redick on the floor with them a lot of the time.
Yep. Or else their spacing would go to hell.
Yeah.
It's actually weird. If they didn't have Redick, they would actually be kind of like Memphis.
And that comment you posted on Twitter, the one that said start Stevenson instead of Redick.
Oh yeah, I don't understand that one. Yeah, I don't get that.
Anyway,
that's just you're just asking for terrible stuff to happen.
They started Lance tonight. They started him instead of Wes and Pierce. How do you think that went?
Defensively, I think it was good. And Doc did just say, I just read Doc's post-game presser conference about Lance. He thinks Lance did okay. He says he has a clue about who he's going to start at small forward, but he's not ready to make the decision yet. But he did say Lance has the potential to be a lockdown defender. It's just he has to get lower.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said, but that'll come around by mid-season, which is fine. It's just that I hate Lance offensively.
Yeah.
The one shot he missed tonight was that the semi-open corner 3, but it rimmed in and out, and I was like, you know what, that's a good shot.
Yeah, he has to shoot that if he's going to play with the starters because he's going to get that shot all the time.
Right, but the thing I didn't like is later in the game, he got a wide open corner three and hesitated, then dribbled into a contested layup that he made. But it's like, yeah, you made the contested layup, but you passed open a wide open three.
Yeah.
Like, you
That's
got it.
why,
Like, it's almost like he missed one and then was very hesitant about whether or not he should take another.
Yeah. That's why I'd be hesitant starting him. I think, like, his biggest weakness is catching and shooting at the moment. Or
Yeah.
anything behind the arc. Like, if you play him with the bench, he can handle the ball more, which means he's doing less of what he doesn't like doing, if that makes sense.
No, it does. But, here's the interesting thing. I'm not entirely, like, against Lance with the starters at small forward because, and, like, I came around on this during the game, I got to admit, because before it was like, this is not going to work. But at the same time, the one way that it does work is you limit how much Lance plays with Jamal. Which is good because I don't think they have no chemistry.
Yeah. I think Austin and
that's
Jamal work pretty good together.
Yeah, Austin and Jamal, because I think they played last year, they kind of understand each other. Whereas Lance and Jamal really don't understand each other and play the exact same way that it kind of limits what you can do offensively.
Yeah. But there's the other thing, like Wes Johnson will be at his best if you play him with the starters. Like
Yeah,
Wes is going to be at his best with the starters.
Yeah, Wesley only played 13 minutes tonight, and he only made one shot. He was like 1 for 3. I think he had a couple of rebounds, like maybe 3 or 4. But it's like the thing with Wes is you're right. He's better with the starters, and that means Pierce can come off the bench, which is better for the bench. The issue with Wes is I'm kind of getting the feeling Doc only likes Wes in like really limited minutes, which is fine because that's what he is. But it also like makes you wonder why sign him then.
Yeah, but he's one of those guys. Like he's not as good as Matt Barnes, but he's pretty similar in that he's not going to hurt the starting lineup at all.
Right, like if he had Matt Barnes' motor, that'd be great.
Yeah, and he profiles really well to fit with the team. Like they need a rangy wing defender. It's just like he's shown that he can do that, but he never does it for long patches. It's all inconsistent, and like the jumper's good one day, the jumper's bad the other day. It's like at his best, he's perfect with that starting lineup. He's going to add to it.
Like I think the shot he hit tonight, because he was 1 for 3. I think the shot he hit tonight was like that pull-up mid-range jumper off like a curl or something.
Yeah.
And he's hit that a few times in the preseason. I actually don't mind that shot for him because it's like he looks like he's in rhythm with that. So, and he does not look comfortable in the corners. Like if you watch him, he looks like he's jittery. So maybe that's why. Maybe Doc's just like, you know what? Let's just get someone who's better defensively and another ball handler.
Well,
so
the other reason the only reason I'd go with Stevenson starting is I don't like playing Austin, Jamal, Stevenson, Pierce because there's like not enough ball to go around. If you play a Wes with that lineup, then like there's a lot more of the ball to go around to those other 3 guys who are going to take a lot of the ball, and even Smith himself. Smith uses the ball quite a lot from the high post.
Right, I agree with that, especially because with that lineup, all you're asking Wes to do is just defend and run. Just defend and run. That's all you have to do. Like make cuts, stand in the corner, defend, run. Like that's all he has to do. And I think the less thinking Wesley Johnson has to do, the better player he will be. The issue is he is what he is. Like he's 27, 28 years old. He is what he is by now. So I don't know. I do agree with you. It's not that I'm coming around on Lance with the starters. Like you just have to it's like we're talking it out. It's like you have to rationalize why it makes sense in terms of other pieces. Like because I think we can agree in tight games down the stretch, Pierce is finishing those games.
Pierce is finishing games, yeah.
And the only other question is, does Doc still go with Jamal over Redick? Because if so, that's insane.
Well, he stopped doing that at the end of last season.
Sometimes he still went to him though.
Most of the time he didn't. He actually went to more Redick and Jamal lineups, I'd say.
Yeah, because he started kicking Barnes out of the lineup, which is fine, but it really hurt the defense.
Yeah, it hurt the defense.
Yeah, and speaking of defense with Jamal, here's the thing. Tonight he got caught out of position twice ball watching off of strong side corner shooters. Like, you can't do that.
He got off the hook once when the guy said a foul. The guy got fouled.
Because Jamal got hung up on the screen and not
Slightly.
flopped, but like he just fell, and the ref was like, "Oh, foul!" Like
Yeah,
because everything was a foul tonight.
yeah, but he got killed on that one. The guy just drifted backdoor on him, and he wasn't really watching.
Yeah, like I don't understand what he's like. I wrote it a couple times on Twitter. It's like, dude, you're a vet. Like you should just know by now. Like you're like in the league for what 15 years? How do you not know just to stay where you are? Like you can't help off of the strong side shooter because that's the easiest pass in the world. So I
Yeah,
don't know. I mean, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I mean, I just think Jamal's staying on the team. I don't think they trade him. I don't think they can trade him. Although I did see an interesting trade proposed yesterday or today. It was like, would you do Jamal Crawford for Kevin Martin?
yeah,
I think I would do that.
yeah. I probably would just because you've got Lance and Pierce and Austin. If you can play 2 or 3 of them off the bench, you got Martin will use the ball less than Crawford does.
And you can get really funky and put Martin at small forward sometimes with the starters.
All right, so we got a question. What's the starting lineup for opening night?
Oh, okay. Well, we already know 4 of them. So the real question is who's the
Austin,
opening small?
Austin,
Yeah.
Jamal, Josh Smith.
Oh god, Josh at the 3 would be hilarious.
Josh at the 3, and then Mbar Mute.
Oh, I was gonna go Chuck Hayes and then Aldridge.
And Chuck Hayes. No, Aldridge might be too good.
Oh, that's right. All right, so we know Paul, Reddick, Griffin, Jordan. Small forward's the only one that you're like, what? Like, who knows? I'll make a prediction. I think Doc just sticks with Lance. I think he will. I think because of the bulldog mentality and the ability to defend and saves Chris Paul's legs. Because Chris Paul's their best perimeter defender, and it's like at least with Lance you can kind of give him breaks.
Yeah, I think he goes Wes.
You think he goes Wes? Yeah, I mean maybe.
Wes, and he reevaluates around the All-Star break because I think the Clippers win enough games no matter what. And then at the All-Star break he says, all right, what am I going to go through the playoffs with? And that's when it probably becomes an open thing again.
I think in a weird way he might just take it like quarter of the season by quarter of the season. Like he could just start with Lance. So if that's not going well after like 3 weeks, he just goes, you know what, Wes can start. And if that doesn't go well for 3, well, Pierce can start. And then like you just like. But I think with Doc, I think he just wants some kind of chemistry. And as great as we heard in training camp as the starters with Pierce were, maybe he just goes Lance just because at least Lance can give defense. And that's the one thing that the lineup needs. Like we keep saying, we know they're going to score.
Yeah.
They just need to defend. And that's where they miss Barnes. Like even though he wasn't that good of a defender, he was probably just slightly above league average. He still gave them defense. Yeah,
I think Lance is a better defender than Barnes.
He's a better defender than Barnes. It's just he's way worse of an offensive player, and that's saying something.
Well, I don't know what I mean? He might be more talented. He's worse because of I don't know what
he can't get out of his own head.
Yeah,
like that's the only way to describe. Like even to a lesser extent, Josh Smith. Like their problems are that they don't get out of their own head. Same thing with Austin Rivers sometimes, and Jamal Crawford. It's a lot of guys who just. Like it's almost like I'm so much better than what I am, and they don't know any better.
I kind of pretty far way around on Austin though. I was really low on him, probably when they acquired him, and now he's a pretty good backup point guard.
I was actually not. Well, I wasn't high on him when we traded for him, but the one thing I kept saying is he's younger than Reggie Bullock, and we needed guards. And it was like at least here he could be given a chance. Like he's not going to be stuck. With the Clippers, at least he has Chris Paul teaching him. He still has Reddick teaching him. He still has Jamal teaching him. Like these are guys who at least have made their way through the league as really good players at some point. And it's like at least then he can learn. Like we've seen him. He's added like a little Jamal Crawford floater. He's added, he's trained with Reddick in the offseason. He's trained with Chris Paul in the offseason. Like
his mid-range game is much better.
Yeah, he looks so much more comfortable shooting, even if his shot form looks whatever. I mean, he looks like he's confident, which is like half the battle. So yeah, I'm cool with Austin. So he killed someone tonight, which is good.
That's the first poster I think I've ever seen him throw down.
Didn't he have one? No, he had one last year in the playoffs on like Duncan with like an and one, didn't he?
Oh yeah, he did too.
He had like and ones, like he had an and one against Tim Duncan, and then I think he had an and one against Dwight Howard. And it was like, what? Like, it's like the weirdest thing ever.
All right, so quickly talk about this, and then we'll get off the air. But final roster. What do you reckon? They go with 15 players, 14 players, and who makes the 15th spot if they go with one?
Okay, so I actually talked about this in the Clipper mailbag for Clips Nation the other day, or today actually, dropped today, right? And I answered it the other day. But so there's basically 14 spots are sewn up, right?
Yeah.
It's Chris, Blake, DJ, Reddick, Lance, Smith, Aldrich, Wesley, Pierce, Wilcox, Dawson, Pablo, that's 12. I'm forgetting somebody. Austin. Did I say Austin?
I've got the list here. So the starters
basically, long story short, it's going to come down between Chuck Hayes and Ba Mute.
Yeah.
Because those are the only two non-guarantee guys.
Yeah, well, they take no one.
Yeah, it's either one of them or nobody. I could see nobody, but I'm actually leaning towards Chuck Hayes, despite what Ba Mute has shown, because I think there's more depth on the wings than there is in the front court.
Yeah.
And I think, well, it's like with Ba Mute, you already have Dawson.
Yeah, if you want a wing who can't shoot and can just get after it defensively, then you already got him.
Yeah, I mean, Ba Mute is better, obviously, but
at least Hayes. Like, say you play Memphis and you need 2 minutes out of Chuck Hayes because like Griffin's in foul trouble. Well,
and you need someone to guard Randolph or Gasol,
I feel
right?
confident just putting Chuck Hayes out there for 3 defensive possessions against Zebo.
I 100% agree. He won Toronto that Memphis game last year in Toronto. He played 10 minutes in that game. Chuck Hayes played 10 minutes in that game. It was the final 10 minutes of the game, and he won them the game without ever taking a shot. Because all he did, swear to God, because all he ever did was literally force Marc Gasol and Zach Randolph into the worst shots I've ever seen.
He's just a brick wall.
Yeah, you can't. He's way better. Like, as solid of a post defender as Glenn Davis was, Chuck Hayes is better, and that's saying a lot. Yeah. So I'd lean Hayes also in a roundabout way because that takes a defender away from guarding Blake Griffin. A team could pick him up.
Yeah,
and Chuck always gave Blake problems.
I just don't think Ba Mute is any good. I used to like him actually, but he's had some injuries. He's pretty out of shape right now too. He's didn't pass a physical with Sacramento because he was too out of shape, and then the Clippers got him. But if you're gonna be a 3-4 tweener, you've got to be really fit and quick, and he just doesn't look like he is.
Yeah.
He also can't shoot at all.
He looks okay taking mid-range jumpers, but once again, I don't want him. I mean, let's be realistic here for a second. The 15th guy is not really going to play.
Yeah, unless something goes wrong.
But I would rather have Chuck just for the big depth. Because you have Griffin, Jordan, Smith, Aldrich, and then you'd have Hayes. Because they're going to play Pierce at stretch 4, but he's not a big. You know what I mean?
Big. He's pretty big now.
He's pretty. Yeah. By the way, speaking of Paul Pierce, does he worry you?
I think even when he's like 50 years old, he'll be able to hit corner threes at least. And that's
something. Maybe I'm overreacting to preseason. He doesn't seem to be moving as well as he even did last year.
There's one big thing about having Paul Pierce, and that is, even if he isn't good, his name's big enough that no one's going to help off him in the playoffs. Matt Barnes was a fine 3-point shooter last year, but people said that's okay, we'll help off him because he's no good. Paul Pierce,
which was absolutely correct. Which was the right move. Yeah, no, I 100% agree. Like it was what was it, a couple years ago with Lamar Odom when he shot free throws almost as bad as DeAndre Jordan, but teams just wouldn't intentionally foul him.
Well, yeah, he's a historically good free throw shooter. He just couldn't hit him that year.
Yeah, and by the way, prayers up to Lamar Odom.
Yeah, my favorite player of all time.
Yeah. Real quick, Blake Griffin had 29 points in 25 minutes.
He was unstoppable.
He was giving Draymond Green the business for a while.
Yeah.
So
Like
that
those guys,
was
they don't like each other. These teams, it showed how much these teams don't like each other that they got into fights in preseason.
yeah. Real quick, the Clippers shot about 55%. I know what I want to mention. In case people don't follow me on Twitter and are just watching this video and you're seeing me for the first time, you watched history tonight because this was the only game. Okay, because both teams tonight shot over 40 free throws each. That did not happen in an NBA game last year. Think about that. No game last year saw each team shoot at least 40 free throws. That happened tonight.
Preseason.
Yeah, there was, I think, what was it, 87 free throw attempts or something like that? Yeah, 87 free throw attempts. There was 66 fouls, 40 turnovers, 8 technicals, and a partridge in a pear tree. So this it was not a good game to watch. Like, even though the Clippers scored 130 points, it was hard to watch at times.
It was stop and start, stop and start.
Yeah, that actually I think
the running clock. There needs to be a running clock rule in preseason if the lead gets outside 15.
Actually, I just think the fourth quarter should just be a running clock in preseason. Like, seriously, I just think it should be a running clock because what's the point? Like, seriously. Like, does anyone even really care about the fourth quarter of preseason games? Because at that point, you're not really seeing starters anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. It's nice to see players because it could be, their job on the line.
Well, yeah, CJ Wilcox hit some jumpers today, and that could put him into the rotation eventually.
By the way, okay, fun fact about him that I actually like. He might be a sneaky guy that the Clippers play this year if they trade Jamal Crawford.
See, I think that he plays if Lance Stevenson just completely goes down the ship.
Either or there.
I'm fine with him. Like, I would actually think about starting him at the 3. If they're going to start Wes, like,
you can't go that far.
But what is Wes giving you that CJ Wilcox can't?
Length and defense?
CJ's a better shooter, and Wes is supposedly a good defender who has never defended well.
Well, the one thing I always think about with Wes is he's always been stuck on such bad teams with bad defenders. Like, outside of Rubio, who's the best defender he's played with? I mean, he was in Phoenix for a year.
He played with Dwight Howard. He played with Dwight Howard.
Did he?
Didn't he? On the Lakers, or did he come the year after?
I think he was only with the Lakers the last 2 years, so that would be after. Because he was in Phoenix. I don't remember who was on that Phoenix team.
No one good. That was when they were bad.
Oh, yeah.
Michael Beasley was their leading scorer.
Oh, my God. Why did that happen?
All right, we're getting so off track.
It's all right. So, basically, like, Wesley Johnson hasn't really played with anybody defensively good outside of, like, Ricky Rubio, so.
We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. God, so much of this roster is we'll see.
Apart from the big 4, everything else is we'll see.
I will say this, though. I do like Josh Smith. Right now, I like him as long as he doesn't take a long twos, but I guess I have to live with that.
Yeah.
Oh, and his defense is a little overrated.
I like him at the 5.
I like him at the 5. I don't like watching him drift away from his man and his assignment, though. Like, if you watch him, sometimes he just kind of stands there just, like, watching, which I get because, I mean, then again, it's hard to evaluate tonight because at a certain point, you're in a game that's like 30 points.
He's also such a good shot blocker that at times he will drift off his man to get a run and jump at the guy who's coming to the hoop.
Right, which also could be a problem because that could lead to fouls, but who knows?
He's a backup center. Who cares?
That's pretty much the fact. Chris Paul got ejected. He only hit 2 of 8 shots, which is whatever. He had a lot of clean looks, so I'm not worried.
He had a nasty pass.
Oh God, he was eviscerating Golden State with his passing in like that one stretch.
And then he had a no-look left-handed pass to Josh Smith for a corner 3, which I like Smith taking. He can take as many corner 3s as he wants.
I'm totally cool with Josh Smith taking corner 3s. I don't even care if he takes corner 3s. Even if he takes above the break 3s late in the shot clock, I don't care.
Yeah. All right, so that's just about it. That was a pretty good game. The first game they've looked convincing at least. And Yeah, so bring on the real season because this is getting boring and I want to analyze some real stuff.
Yeah. One last thing I do want to say about the team going forward is, um, I'm really interested to see if this year's team defends better from an overall scheme standpoint, simply because this is year 2 of like a Lawrence Frank system.
Yeah,
Because Lawrence Franks likes that, like he's a real numbers guy. So, because remember that's what got him fired basically by Jason Kidd in Brooklyn. So I'm interested to see if they make some, like, how much they improve this year defensively, because I don't think they can get worse. They were 15th last year in efficiency on that end, so I don't think they can get worse.
yeah. Well, talent-wise, they should be top 10.
Talent-wise, they should be top 10 because you're talking about Chris Paul, who's arguably the best.
Point guard defender, like
Yeah,
him or
point guard
Mike Conley
defender.
or John Wall, one of those three.
Yeah.
Or Pat Bev.
Yeah, or Pat. Yeah, either way. But then you get Redick, who's a solid defender, but a really good team defender, or just an amazing defender against James Harden. And then you got Lance, who's a really good perimeter defender. You got Austin, who's a good perimeter defender. You got Wes, who has the potential to be a really good, not really good, but be a solid to good perimeter defender. Like, you have the pieces.
Yeah, and like even their bigs, when locked in, Blake's an above-average defender. Blake, when locked in, is a very good defender. He's just never really trying during the regular season on that end. And DJ, for as many faults as he has, he's an above-average defender, definitely.
Right. It's funny because I think DeAndre Jordan has become underrated now, especially defensively.
I still think he's remarkably underrated on offense.
Oh, I just think he's underrated. Well, yeah, because I think he's underrated all around. Like, he's part of the reason why the Clippers' offense is so good. But he's also, like, there was the study done where he affects shots the most based on shot location. Because basically when he's in the game, the Clippers allow like the most mid-range jumpers, which is great.
Yeah,
And when he leaves, their defense collapse.
some of that is also how they defend pick and rolls. When DJ's defending pick and rolls, he hangs back, so they're just going to get looks. Whereas when Blake's defending pick and rolls, he hedges, which means they're getting to the rim more.
Yeah, exactly. Because what also happens though is the way that the pick and roll defense was designed last year was you always hedge hard, because that way you always hedge hard on the ball handler, because then you force the big into a jumper, which you'd rather have the big take the jumper than the ball handler. And earlier in the preseason, they changed it up, because I don't know if you noticed this, but the first 4 games they were running pick and roll defense by just having the big just stand back on defense and letting the guard jog toward him into a jumper.
Yeah.
So I'd have to rewatch tonight. I got the film in the back room buffering, so when I watch it tonight, I'll have to see how they really attack pick and rolls tonight.
I'd like them to ice a bit more. They don't do that much. But on some guys, you can hang back, like John Wall, hang back. But if you're playing Steph Curry, the defender, big man has to really be up.
Yeah, it's a case-by-case basis. It's like the know your personnel status, like John Wall, Russell Westbrook, you bait them into threes because you want them taking threes.
Yeah.
But yeah, Steph Curry, you got to help. So we'll see. We'll see how the Clippers, it'll be interesting to watch throughout the year, actually, because you got, like we said, we got Lance, you got Chris, you got guys like that. We can see how they attack pick and rolls defensively this year.
Yeah. And the Clippers could be 1-6 in the West, and I don't think it'll make much of a difference. OKC, Golden State, the Clippers, San Antonio, Houston.
Rockets.
And Houston. So that's top 5. That's 5 plus the Clippers 6. Like, those 6 could be anywhere, and I don't think it makes much of a difference.
Yeah, and then 7 and 8, I don't even know anymore, because we keep assuming New Orleans. We keep assuming New Orleans is 7 or 8, and it's like, well, now Tyreek Evans is injured and had surgery on his knees. So.
Utah, Phoenix.
Well, Utah has their own issues, apparently.
Yeah.
Apparently, Rudy Gobert is taking a step back offensively. I didn't know that was possible, but it happened. But yeah, in total, I know we got to get off this because we've been off for a while. But in total, Clippers look good tonight. It's still the preseason, but there are encouraging signs. There's more encouraging signs tonight than there were in any of the other games. The thing to always remember is Golden State didn't play Iguodala, Bogut, or Curry, so who knows? Easy
comp, but preseason's about seeing what the team can do, not really who they're against. So
right, it's process, not results.
Yeah. Nice chatting with
Oh
you,
God,
man.
I feel like Philadelphia now.
What?
I feel like Philadelphia now. Trust the process.
All right, so we're going to be trying to do this after every game, and if one of us can't do it, then we'll try to get a sub in. But look out for it. Thanks, guys.